Hi, Kathleen, and thank you for your request for a message. It's always wonderful for me to receive these messages because I think it benefits me just as much as it benefits the recipient. So, always my thanks to you. This was funny because I usually get like a download of the message before I deliver the message, and I get an idea about what's going to happen. So I noticed somebody's watching this. I don't know if that one is me, but I thought I made it unlisted. There's not anything too personal going to be said, but I'm trying to make a video for somebody who's requested a message. So I will just continue anyhow. It's called Floating on a Cloud of Support. And I just wanted to share with you, like I usually just have a few notes and I got a whole sheaf of them. So this is a funny one that way, but it seems like there was a lot to be said. So if you hear the paper, it's just me shuffling through when I was scrawling down. So I was feeling it and receiving it. Sometimes I don't need them at all, but sometimes it's helpful. So the emphasis at the beginning is that you are a beautiful and perfect being, just as you are, and the reality of that sinking in. So I don't know if that's a felt reality or an emerging reality for you yet, but I was feeling that very strongly. And if it's not something you feel and know, then I'm delivering it to you like this is the truth. You're a beautiful and perfect being, and just the question: are you ready and willing to see that perfection, that beauty, not of the form, but of everybody, the perfection of the being that everybody is? Are you willing to see that come online for everybody without exception? Because these are the times we're entering now. Now, if you look at the world and you attempt to analyze it or categorize it or say anything about it, it's probably not going to be reflective of this perfection and this beauty. But this is what we're here for now. We're here to remember and know the truth and exalt in that truth and radiate that truth. And as we do, our nightmare is over because we made this world with thought. And as we remember the perfection of everybody, we calm down and we allow the world to resolve into a reflection of what we really are, of the beauty and the perfection that we really are. So these are the times we're entering, and these are the realizations we're all having, and this is what's going to begin to be reflected back to us from everywhere. Now, first, maybe it's what gets reflected back to us is the fear we're releasing, and startling outcomes that we feared, and things like that. But eventually, we look right through all that as the nothingness it really is. We stop judging and defining it and cowering and running away from it, and we just see through it. And then we allow the world to resolve into a reflection of what we really are. So, what they were really emphasizing for you is this support. You're floating on a cloud of support, and you're becoming aware of this cloud of support, and you're drawing upon it every moment of every day. That being your sustenance, and to also know that as you are floating on this cloud of support, so is everybody else. So that becomes the basis for an inner peace that allows inspiration to flow to you and through you very smoothly and in a way that helps you feel supported, in a way that helps you feel good, no matter how things look. I've been hearing this so much lately. No matter how things look on the outside, we can see through what they might look like, how we would have reacted to them in the past, and know that everything is okay. What else? Okay, so what is really important is our willingness to see everybody as equal, is equally supported, equally blessed, and to include ourselves in that number. So life maybe used to be a scramble to get for ourselves or to achieve or to one day become comfortable or to one day become perfect, but it's like we've switched out of that gear. And instead, we're just going to bask in the perfect blessedness of all, the perfect beauty of all. And that's how everything resolves. Because in that space of stillness, we're willing to see a reflection of what's true, not the chaos of what we've been projecting. And taking responsibility for what we've been projecting is easy because we know that it's been meaningless and valueless the whole time, all the strife we've been projecting with thought, because all we could ever do here was give ourselves experiences with thought, and we've done that. So whenever it's chaotic, we're just in that old pattern again. But if we remember to see everybody as they are, as equally blessed and loved, and supported, and to include ourselves in that, never to exclude ourselves, never to exclude anybody across time or space, this is how that switch really flips. And we really allow the world to to calm and to reflect love back to us. It's in our hands, and it can seem scary at first that it would be in our hands. We would almost rather be powerless, but how much more strife do we want to experience? It's in our hands, and we can allow this, and it ends up being a very, very simple process. So they're pointing out some stuff that is not helpful to us. You're not served by the idea of support as coming from specific others, as needing to come from those others. But you are served by the ability to see that support that can flow unceasingly from all to all. So this is a factor in my life too, that wherever I think I need something from somebody, or somebody has failed to deliver something to me that I expected, some behavior, some resource, whenever I see a lack anywhere, this is just that old pattern. And whenever I'm trying to like siphon something from a particular being, so I almost say a picture like, I'll suck your soul out, or something completely inappropriate we don't need to do, because we're so loved and we're so supported. So if we can remember that, then we just allow whatever resources we seem to need as this character in this drama, they can come to us from anywhere, from anyone, in any way, and we just open up to all that abundance. So I'm really asked, and I think you're being invited to the same thing, to just where I think my resources have to come to me from a certain one in a certain way, to release that white knuckle grip and to just allow the abundance to flow. And as I allow that in my life, like an abundance of peace, an abundance of well-being, I will see reflections of that in the world, seemingly outside of me, but it's really the world I'm projecting. It's the world I'm making with thought. So we take responsibility for the thought, and we allow the thought and the belief to change, and what we experience seems different, seems like it's transformed, just because we allowed it to come into a closer reflection of what truly is, the only thing that truly is, love. So the next idea is the form of the support you provide and the support you receive is unimportant. So this is another thing I am also working on. The forms that we experience in the physical, we are not capable of judging any of it. And that is always a revelation to me, that the only thing I'm capable of judging in the physical, because the physical is just an experience of chaos I made with thought in order to hide from my true nature and the true nature of everybody. So whenever I'm analyzing anything in the physical, or trying to value it or evaluate it, I'm just barking up the wrong tree. And the more I see how I'm supported by inspiration and just guided through the day, and I don't need all those old muscles I think I used to need. I used to rely on ego for so much judgment. That falls away. The evaluating falls away. And and I don't judge how things seem to come to me. I just assume. That's one thing I can assume, that I'll be supported and everybody will be supported. So this affects our idea of help. If we think we like to help people, we often come at them with help, looking at them as weak and as not being supported, and looking at ourselves, we're in anguish, and we're thinking that it could be very easy for us to be in a situation in which we're not supported too. And we're used to calling this compassion. But if we look at it closely, there's a lot of anxiety and fear in it, a lot of belief that we deserve to be punished because we keep experiencing punishing outcomes. So there's a lot of undoing to be done here. And if we can keep that in mind as we look at others, it's not a lack of compassion, because inspiration will come in and tell us what to do, when we're supposed to give a physical thing or a time or words, or we're supposed to go somewhere. We'll just be told very clearly by inspiration, but not in a way that comes from valuing our experiences differently or making decisions even about what is right and what is wrong. We can know how we're feeling. And if we're not feeling good, we're believing a lie. So it's more important in that situation to figure out the lie we're believing and to release the lie than it even is to play that role of helping someone if we're helping from anguish. So that's a big one for me. And it's unwinding, but it's unwinding slowly, and I still rely on that anguished sense. But it is such a relief to even begin to give it up, that I'm very grateful for that. So the next part is back to willingness. Are you willing to receive inspiration? And do we think we're worthy of inspiration? And to follow what lights up for you all day long. And this can be a big one if you think, well, I have to do this and I have to do that. And certain thoughts like that occur to me too, of course. And I'm trying to allow spirit to, help me weed them out, and for just clarity to come all day. But if we're willing to fall into happiness and to follow what lights up for us, if we realize we're worthy of being happy, and our happiness is really what serves everybody. When we're in that state of happiness, we are better able to be of assistance to others, energetically and otherwise. So are you willing to follow inspiration? Are you willing to receive inspiration? It's funny to go deeply into those questions, because I do find places where I think I'm not worthy of it, or where I think if I try to control something as an ego, I might get a more satisfying or safe result. So just, going deeper and deeper into that trust in inspiration. So back to the idea of making the world we experience through thought, and the non-physicals are here to usher out any fear that arises with this realization. So when we remember, I'm doing this, I made this up with thinking, I give myself this experience with thought. Oh my goodness, and look at this experience. If you start to judge and evaluate that experience, you'll freak out and go into all kinds of guilt. And you're not being asked to do that, because the experience isn't real. It's the illusion. It's the dream. We have to remember that. So we're being escorted out of a nightmare, out of our dreaming. And we're being calmed down and sort of gentled out of it. And if you could think of yourself as always surrounded, I'm thinking of my friend Vera, because she, instead of thinking of herself as surrounded by many, many non-physical beings, she just likes to go into the oneness, and it's simple for her that way. And I do that too. But sometimes it helps me to feel like there are many, many, many non-physical beings surrounding me and helping me get my head on straight. So however it works for you, either way, both ways, you're always surrounded, encompassed by the light, by sanity, by clarity, by reality, by the only thing that's real. And it will shine into this madness that we are projecting with thought, and it will make things very clear for you. And your willingness is key. And I feel like there's probably so much about what I'm saying that you've learned already, and maybe some big lessons, some painful lessons. I mean, that happens for all of us, some painful lessons about, working through the layers of how we're doing this to ourselves. We're not a victim of anything. We're thinking this experience for ourselves, and we don't have to think ourselves into experiences of suffering. So for all of us, it's like learning to back out of what we made, and to remember that we're safe. We're safe in doing so. So the part that really helps me about non-physical friends is that they're so happy to be of service. It's no burden on them at all. It's a great joy to them when we remember who we are, and when we stop abusing ourselves with thought, when we stop making nightmares with thought. They're so happy to help escort that fear out of our experience. But we have to be the ones to let it surface and to let go of it, and then they'll take care of it. So our job is to let it surface and to let go of it. That's like every day. That's our everyday job. It's more important than any physical job we think we have. So it may seem as though you think you need to hold the frequency for others, for those around you. They say we don't deny that we're encouraging you to hold a frequency, but there is another way to think of it. So if we're here to remember to know the frequency of peace, to settle down from projecting illusion, and to settle into the frequency of peace, and to allow that to emanate from us. The other way to think of it is not that we're holding it for those others who are deficient or not accessing it in some way. It can look like that. It can look like that. But you can really see how very supported you are if you remember that the identity of everybody, the true identity of everybody, underneath the surface that we're projecting with thought, is peace. So there's your resource in everyone that you think of, in everyone that you meet. That's your resource. That's the frequency to hold. So it can be kind of a fun game, when I'm thinking of somebody in a way that is not peaceful. It's not peaceful. And I remember, oh, I'm here to hold the frequency of peace. Let me ask this one for help. So the one I'm thinking of, I'll go into the frequency of their peace. There's no your peace or my peace. There's just one peace. But if I think of it that way, like this one will assist me into the frequency of peace, then I'm acknowledging the true identity of every being across time and space is peace and nothing but. And I am willing to set the thinking down, and I'm willing to set the nightmare down, and all the logic and all the cause and effect that I think upholds the nightmare, all the perception of past, all the anticipation of future. I'm willing to set all of it down so I can just go into this shared identity of peace. And then I'm not holding the frequency for that one. That one just helped me find it. That one just alerted me to the fact that I was clinging to an illusion that is not peace, and not helping myself in any way. And they helped me find it. Then I feel like, wow, you just can't get away from this support. You just can't get away from this peace. So I'm finding that very helpful. This next part I kept hearing in Spanish. I'm not sure why. It's like a memory from an old Spanish class. With your permission, con permiso. I was hearing in Spanish. I don't know why. But with your permission, con permiso, the world will, you experience, will reflect the peace and love we are back to us. So this is the time of learning to give that the priority. I am here to allow the reflection, no matter how unlikely it might seem. This surface I'm looking at, any surface I would judge, is just a thin, unreal, and very brittle surface. If you take a little hammer to it, it's just going to shatter like glass. It is not real at all. But what's so immense and real under that surface and just surrounding this whole experience for the entire time we've been giving it ourselves this experience with thought is the light, is the love, and we're here to allow the reflection. So in doing that, we're allowing the world to become very flexible, and we're letting the fear go. So if you think of us living in a world that's so flexible, it could take any form at any time. Does any fear come up? Do we think we need to control something about this world to keep it safe? And who would be doing the controlling? A human, like a separated human identity? Can that really do anything? It's that we're letting go of the notion of all that. And we're learning to trust that when we allow the world to become very, very, very flexible, the only thing that falls away is suffering and pain. That's what falls away. And the reflection that comes back to us then is just harmony, clarity, joy, peace. And eventually we realize, what are we even doing with this physicality? We never needed it in the first place. And we just allow it to dissolve. It's not a destruction or an ending of anything. It's just, you open your eyes and wake up and the dream is gone. So I'm not predicting the end of the world or anything, because this unwinding from the nightmare we've been making with thought, it seems to take time for us, seems to happen gradually. And our non-physical friends want us to have, if possible, a gentle and sweet and loving awakening. So we can promote that for ourselves just by our willingness to release what we don't need, and our willingness to see peace everywhere, and our willingness to allow the world to become very flexible. So thank you for bringing up this perspective and this emphasis for me, because whoever I'm matched up with, it's for both of us. At least that's what I'm experiencing so far. So, whatever anybody pulls up out of me, it's flowing through me and really helping me. I hope there is some resonance for you here. And if you have any follow-up questions, just feel free to let me know. Happy to talk further. Thank you.